$12 million deal to stay with the Knicks. So no Paul George to New York. Paul Pierce. Yesterday, the Knicks were 5.5 on the 1 to 10 threat scale to your Celtics, in your view. Now that they're keeping Anunoby for sure, does that threat number change?
The threat number does change, Skip. It was at a 5.5 yesterday. It's at a 5.75.
I knew you was going to do something
It's at
stupid.
a 5 point as far as a threat to the Celtics.
Okay.
I mean, I like what the Knicks are doing, though. You know, they're establishing themselves. You know, what teams usually do? When one team's win it, they try to counter by emulating the team or countering the team to prepare to beat that team. And I think that's what the Knicks are trying to do because they're added some pretty good defensive pieces. Of course, I think the key piece was re-signing Anunoby. As we all know, they were one of the best teams in the league when he came over after the trade and was starting. So they took that into account when signing him to this mega deal because you look like, you say, wow, he's not even probably going to be second or third option on offense because once you bring Randall back, Mikal Bridges is a 20-point scorer. He'll probably be their fourth option to get this kind of money, but that's not what he's bringing to the table. Offense, you know, he can knock down threes. It's just a defense. And they're gearing up to play against the Celtics, so because that's what everybody does. They brought in the defensive talent, but I just don't know if they're quite ready yet. You know, I like what they're doing. I still think they're in the same level as Indiana, Philly. You know, who knows what's going to happen in Miami. Miami has constructed with a healthy Jimmy Butler. You can never count them out. Milwaukee, a healthy Milwaukee team with the Greek Freak, who is still a top 5 MVP caliber player, along with Dame Lillard. So I still got them in those group, in that tier, but, you know, it really, like, solidifies them in the East as more likely a top 4 team, 100%. But as far as a super threat, I'm not sure they're there yet.
They're a threat. It was a 7 yesterday. It stays at a 7 for me today because I felt like they was going to sign him anyway. I mean, he just was doing the opted in and out and all that for the money. It was a money play. That's what guys do. You know, they want to maximize. Man, what would you if you were playing right now, Paul? He got 212 and you call him a fourth option. What would you get?
Whatever the max is. Whatever that max is.
Whatever the max is, okay.
Three something.
Oh, well, you might want to go work out a little bit, see if you can get there. But Skip,
I got coach's money now.
So Skip, when you look at it, they go get Mikal Bridges, they pass on the Paul George trade, they decide, okay, OG's our guy, we're gonna give him the money. Julius Randle gonna come back. Plus, we got the other 3 Villanova Wildcats. They got a little more depth. They got longer on the wings. They got bigger on the wing side of things. Yep. So they got to obviously, from a defensive standpoint, they know that what Boston likes to do. It's all a counter, like Paul is saying, to what the Celtics are. We're going to counter that because we feel like these other teams within our conference we can play with. We're okay. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep the center. How you say his name, Skip?
Hartenstein.
Hartenstein.
I don't think they will.
It'll be interesting to see, though.
He played his way into some money.
Some more money, even though they may have some cap space to get it done.
Yesterday's price is not today's price for that kid.
That may be true, but so when you start to look at Miami, Cleveland, Milwaukee, the Sixers may still be in play to pick up Paul George in a trade. Outside of that, everybody else gonna stay the same. Miami may try to do something, depending on whether or not Jimmy Butler gets what he's looking for. But for the most part, I believe that they closed the gap to some degree on Boston, but not to the point where they all of a sudden going to be the 1 seed. They still going to be 2, 3, 4 within the conference.
Yeah.
I'm with you, which is why my threat number is so low. I was a 2 yesterday, and I can't go above a 2. And I'll tell you why. Anunoby is a really good NBA player, but he's not a star. Not in my eyes, a star. If, let's just say, they had decided, OG, thank you, but no thank you, and let him go, and they'd gone after Paul George and landed him. I'm not the biggest Paul George fan, but he's a star to me. In my eyes, he has star quality. He might not be a 1, but he's a 1A star. Opposite Kawhi with the Clippers. And we're going to talk about Paul in just a few minutes. But the point is, Paul George can do things on the basketball court that are special to me, where I say, oh, you know, like you can't find that. That doesn't grow on Southern California palm trees, right? And yet, Mikal Bridges, he's a great kid. He plays hard. He's an Iron Man. He plays every game. But is he a star? I don't see star impact. So both these guys, Anunoby's going to play at 27, Mikal at 28 this next year. Not bad. They're in the heart of their prime, so I give you that. But they've each made one all-defense team, just one, and no all-star teams. And Anunoby, when he made the all-defense team, did lead the league in steals. So I'm going to give you that because, to your point, you got long wing defenders. Good. So you upgraded a little bit. But I'm talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm talking about we went back and forth all through the playoffs.
Yeah.
Who's the more valuable player? Well, you know what? I kept telling you, it's really a great problem to have. Like, it's hard for you to take a stand on it because you love both of them. And so after a while, you're like, I don't even care. I got them both, right?
Yeah, I know.
You got them both.
Just, nothing is intimidating Skip by having a bunch of role players, which the Knicks have.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in order to win in this league, you have to have some type of superstar power.
I mean, Jalen Brunson's not a role player, but...
No, Jalen Brunson has established himself as a superstar in this league. Yes.
I guess, but the problem is he's a 6 foot tall superstar, and so it limits his ceiling, right?
It does. Yeah. And I truly believe, and I said this for many, many years, if your point guard is your best player, I don't think you can win a championship.
Look,
I don't.
You know the NBA, you played in it, you know it way better than both me and Skip because you played as a player. But the odds makers seem to think they closed the gap. Yeah. They went from the bottom to third, as the odds makers say, in winning it. They got the Celtics, they got the Nuggets, and now all of a sudden they got the Knicks since the trade with Bridges and the signing of OG, which just happened last night.
I hear you.
I hear what you're saying, and you're saying about small guard play and not having a major Paul Pierce at your disposal on the floor. They got Jalen Brunson. But everybody else, if you play together as a unit, as a team, may be just enough if they slip and fall with a hiccup.
I hear you. But does Jalen Brunson make everybody better around him?
That's what I'm saying.
Not
That's
at all.
the one problem.
He is the most ball-dominant guard in the league. He led the whole league in usage rate. Beyond Luka, beyond Trey, beyond all the high...
In the regular season?
Yeah, so that's what bothers me, Skip, about the Knicks, and that's why it's hard for me to say that they've gotten there yet, because when you look, I look at the chemistry part of it. How does he mix in with these other guys? Because I think, you know, Anunoby, you know, he could be pretty much a catch-and-shoot guy, slasher, that type, but when you talk about Bridges and you talk about Julius Randle, these guys are 20-point scorers. So how do you implement what Brunson does to what they do also? And then DiVincenzo, he took a step up last year. Josh Hart, he took another step up last year. So how do you implement a guard with high usage rate into all of this? You know, Brunson can pass, but he's not considered an assist guard. No. And so that's the one thing they're going to have to figure out is how do they get the most out of all the talent they got. Now, on paper, they look pretty good with a bunch of these guys who are really solid contributors. I mean, I'm talking about top to bottom. You can go even as far as McBride. You know, he's legitimate. You know, a guy that can come in and knock down some shots. So how do you implement what Brunson's able to do to what you got over here? Now, if he's able to take a step back and say, hey, I got to kind of change on the dribble around the pick and roll and hold it a little bit more to really look to getting off the ball, maybe play at a faster pace, they got something. But if not, they're going to be the same Knicks. That's going to be...
But did they close the gap, though, is really the question.
They're going to be battling Indiana 7 games. They're going to be battling Philadelphia for 7 games.
Why are you giving them 7 and not the Celtics?
Listen, 16-3. We didn't play a lot of 7 games.
Everybody got hurt, man. I'm like Skip.
It wasn't a lot of 7-game series.
Miami didn't have a full arsenal. Who did they get at the Miami? Cleveland didn't have a full arsenal, and neither did Indy.
Hey, we didn't have a full arsenal.
Y'all had everybody.
No, we missed Porzingis.
Man, Celtics.
All right, so if the Knicks get Julius Randle back fully healthy, that's a big piece because he's a big physical presence. So
are you saying they're going to start Julius at the 4 or 5? That's the big question. right there. Now, you
Well, I
sign
assume Mitchell
Anunoby.
Robinson is their backup center, so I assume he's going to start.
So
and
Mitchell
he's not
Robinson
bad,
is going to
not
start. So you go Mitchell Robinson at the 5, Julius Randle.
You do.